In the distant past, in the bountiful lands now known as Bulgaria, the people lived happily under the care of a wise and benevolent sovereign. The evil princess from the lands to the north envied their happiness and cast a sinister spell. Whosoever shall harness an animal and plough the land will die. Terrible times came, and many people and animals died. The king sent messengers throughout his realm and ordered all the men to gather at his castle. He commanded them, "You will dress in the skins of dead animals. You will wear masks and bells that will frighten the devil himself. Then you will go to the fields and plough." The men obeyed and were protected from the curse. On hearing this, the witch was consumed by rage and perished. From that day on, at the start of spring, the men put on their masks, bells and skins and went to plough the land. Today, these men, known as Kukeri, roam through the streets of Kukuland, dancing and chanting to bring prosperity, fertility and health to the land and the people. Southeast Bulgaria was once a part of the ancient kingdom of Thrace. The area became known as Kukuland. On this bright, cold February morning, Kukeri groups from all over the country gather in the town of Yambol in southeast Bulgaria to perform this spectacular and ancient masquerade. And like the players, a large audience travels from far and wide just to be present. They soak up the magical atmosphere as the performers spin and weave in a cacophony of sound and a blaze of colour through the streets of the old town.
The Kukeri games have been performed for centuries without interruption here. It's a tradition which has been handed down from one generation to another. The father passes it to his son, the son to his son, and so on. In this way, the ritual survives. The Kukeri games are specific to Bulgaria, and their roots go back deep into the past. It's believed as far back as Thracian times. The games celebrate the coming of spring in ways similar to those of the Thracian tribes at Dionysian celebrations.
It seems that a few fans of the Greek god of wine, Dionysius, can be easily spotted in the crowd today. The jury has now taken its place and the contest begins. There is keen competition among the Kukeri groups, with awards being presented for authenticity and artistic interpretation. There are also prizes for best mask and costume.
Kukeri were strong, young and healthy men in their prime. Their main task was to drive away evil and bring fertility. In the past, the Kukeri leader carried a red wooden phallus. This was waved in the air, and those who were touched with it were given the blessing of fertility. The kuka has to attract attention, to be frightening and unrecognizable. It is believed that on this day, the man who participates in this ritual passes into an unnatural spiritual state. One can say that while he is chasing the evil away, he himself becomes dangerous for those around him. This is the main reason the Christian Church rejects the games, calling the mummers devils and pagans.
If one looks closely, one can see that there could be other reasons for the Church's lack of enthusiasm towards the custom. With the passing of time, the Orthodox Church has turned a blind eye. Traditionally, in southeastern Bulgaria, the event took place on Forgiveness Sunday, which is the last Sunday before Lent, 7 weeks before Easter. The ritual began at dawn, when the Kukeri ran around the village streets. With their bells, pipes and drums, they created a terrible din to terrify evil spirits and drive them away from the settlement.
While the mummers were on the rampage, all the women ran away and hid, as on this day the Kukeri had no inhibitions. They lifted the ladies' skirts with their wands, blackened their faces with soot, and carried out any other frivolous acts they can think of.
Any unmasked man found on the streets could also be subjected to similar treatment. They could be chased, tied with ropes and covered with mud, soot or ashes. In this atmosphere of fun and celebration, the Kukeri travelled around the village, visiting and blessing every home. The grateful hosts showed their appreciation by giving them gifts of food and money. After the tour, they performed the main ritual on the village square. Here, the Kukeri symbolically plough, sow and reap their harvest from the land. The performance, although serious in its intent, is supposed to be full of fun. It includes some special ritual actions to ensure fertility and the production of healthy crops. The better and more elaborate the act, the more the audience laugh and cheer. Indeed, laughter is a very important element on this day. Nothing is sacred. Everything can become a target for the humour. The church, the king, the devil, and even death. Meanwhile, as the jury is concentrating on the main programme, the people in the audience are kept entertained by the groups and bands who assemble to put on shows of their own. Being a part of the pan-European carnival of culture, the Yambol Games are judged today by a group of both local and international scholars.
The carnivals happen very much in the same form throughout Europe. We find the same figures, the same masks, the rituals that are very similar. For example, within the carnival procession, we always have a mock wedding. We have a bride and a groom, and then we have the bear chase, and then we have, for example, the ritual plowing. We want to try and find out directly for ourselves why this should be so.
A bride and groom as ritual characters are present in almost every group. In some groups there is a grandmother carrying a baby, which symbolize conception and birth. There are also other characters, the donkey, the priest, and the bear with his keeper. In recent years, new characters have appeared as people depict events that have happened in their lifetime.
We have the gynecologist, the naughty nurse, the policeman of the Caribbean, and most recently, the European Union.
In the last 10 years, ethnological studies in Europe have certified and made it absolutely clear that there are strong Eastern influences in what we see today going on in Europe. We do feel that Bulgaria may be one of the core centers for the development of winter masquerading. The hypothesis is that what you see in Bulgaria is somewhat connected to the early manifestations of winter masquerading in Europe, and that's why we are here, and we are trying to see, how can I say, we are trying to see what happens today with the eyes of a long time ago.
They say, teach me laughter, save my soul. On this special day, the world turns upside down and values are turned around. High becomes low, low becomes high, strange becomes normal, and normal becomes strange. But above all, it is laughter that liberates the soul.